Welcome to the SAP Business ByDesign webinar for Business Analytics. Business Analytics is actually built in to Business ByDesign rather than having a separate BI solution which integrates with the system. It has real-time analytical reporting, which means that there isn't a lag between the data being processed and the reports that you're trying to run. This gives you a clearer picture in real time of what's actually happening when it comes down to reporting. Firstly, I'd like to show you some basic navigation. Basic navigation of how end users can interact with basic reports. Now, over on the main screen, we have three work centers which that I would like to use. Sales orders and the report functionality of the sales orders, business analytics, the work center there for designing reports, and corporate performance to look at some overview there and customizing your own dashboards. Okay, first of all, from the sales orders perspective, we're using that work center because there is a report in there which is simple to use and for understand for this tutorial. First of all, I go to reports, and then ByDesign then lists a number of reports which are available in context to the work center that I'm under. This time we're going to use sales order volume report. So we'll click on the hyperlink, and that opens up the report. Now initially this is a busy screen, but the buttons and functions on this screen become apparent the more you use it. So first of all, I'd like to draw everyone's attention to the main screen here, where you can see the graph at the moment. If I just reduce this selection screen for the time being, you can see we have a graph with the months across the bottom and in bar graph form. This is the main view of the report. So if we start changing the selection criteria or moving different data fields around, it influences this screen here. With any report, if you run with no filters, it can be very time consuming because depending on the amount of data. Alternatively, you can use the selection field, which are these selections here, and in this report it's pre-configured. This is a out-the-box sales order volume report, and these are the filters. So we're looking for specific sales volume from the last 3 months as of today. Okay, and we can influence this by using the drop-down box. We can see we've got a relative selection here for 3 months from today. The other alternatives that we've got was last week, last year to date, etc. There's a number of pre-configured dynamic variants that you can use here. And all I do is select the one that I want to use, click on OK, and it then will refresh. Now I did just talk about the main viewing area and the selection area here. These two panels here are replicated over in this box here, the view, sales order chart, and the selection chart. So what that allows us to do is to have one report with many different views and many different selections. For example, at the moment we've got sales order volume chart. If I go to the drop down here, there is some pre-selected ones, and we can actually look at the sales order volume by account. So we'll click on there and it will update the report. So you can see now that it's now showing the view. If we make any corrections or any changes to this screen, it will influence the view and you will get brackets modified. For example, if I go to currently not shown, which displays all the fields that can be used for this report, and we enter city, I will move that, right click and move that to rows. There you can see it's added the city. Now up the top we can see that it's changed to modified. So we know now that if I run this report again by standard account, it will remove the city field because I've modified that initial screen. So one of the tips here is to always remember to save any views that you want to use in the future. It's pointless spending hours designing a new view and then forgetting to save it. Okay, so by adding city, again, the other alternative rather than right-clicking is to drag and drop it to the account field, and it appears in the city there. We can also remove fields, move to currently not shown, and now we've got sales order volume by city. Okay, very, very quick and simple to use. Now we can now change this into a pre-selected graphical display. The way we do this is over in this icon here. That icon represents all the different functions that we've got for graphical representation, from pie charts to graphs to stacked graphs, etc. And it can't just create things on the fly based on its own screen. So the idea is choose something that's relevant. So a column bar graph in this context is relevant. Putting a pie chart in there would possibly cause a little bit of chaos, and it wouldn't be nicely represented in a pie chart. And I'll prove that. So if I just highlight the bar graph, it's just converted it now by all the different cities, and you can see that Windsor, Edinburgh and Liverpool are quite high up there from sales order volume. If I converted this into a pie chart, it becomes very, very chaotic of what's actually happening on this screen. As you can see, it's tried to render it in a way that's not really relevant for us. So what we can do is just change it back, and now it's more relevant for us to move forward. To compare the chart and the table at the same time, you can actually go to this option here and switch to chart and table, and that renders both. Obviously the description on the left hand side, gets a bit unwieldy, so you just got to be careful of how you display these, but you can drag things over to the right hand side so you can see the influence that it has. And again, I can then move to the chart like I did before, by month, change it to chart and table, and you can see there how we can change things. Okay, if I just go back to the table view, what I'd like to show you now how this can be used in Microsoft Excel. Okay, there's two ways we can do this. We can either download it to your desktop, or we can actually just open it on the fly. So that's what we'll do next. You have to just re-log in. And now you can see that it's downloaded the same data, and you can then manipulate that using different filters here. If you just go to the Business ByDesign plugin, you can see there's the selection there, initial 3 months, 365 years, and it can change. Okay, you can also use pivot tables, line items. You can protect the worksheet. You can do ad hoc reporting on here. The beauty of this is that you can actually publish this back into ByDesign and compare on multiple sheets, different reports, or use the formulas and lookups that you can do in Excel to support your reporting requirements. There may be times when in the currently not shown column there isn't a relevant field, even though it should be available for you to use. Obviously, some fields don't have any relationship to the data source where it's coming from, so such as purchasing information probably has nothing to do with sales order volume. So you can imagine the context of the data in this column is only relevant to sales in this example. However, we may find that there is something that's not in this long list of options here, and we may need to find, if it's possible, without any development, that field. How to do this? We go to Add Fields option at the top here, and then it will list the data dimensions that it's looking for. So obviously, the first time you use this, the data is grouped in a specific way, but maybe the more you use this, the more you'll get used to knowing where to look for this data. So let's have a look at the sales order itself, the dimension in there, and as you can see, when we start to drill down, there's more and more options for us. And those, if I just expand the screen a little bit more, you can see we can display these fields in the report or in the selection. So at the moment, when it comes to the sales order volume, we can see that the description is not in the report at the moment. If we go to, again, drop down to the sales order, we've got availability status there, calendar days, all these are not part of the standard report. So it'd be interesting to add one of these fields. So if we say added the document type to display in the report, that activate the selection, and then we can select a selection to make sure that we can select the correct document type. And to activate that and compile that and add it to the data source, we can just click on OK. Then it just takes a few moments to compile the data source, because you're actually adding a new field to the data source itself. So this is all building things on the fly for your reporting requirements. Once it's finished compiling, that field now appears in the list of not currently shown. So there you go, there's document type. So we can add this now to the rows, and we can see now that the document type has been added. Now, as you can appreciate, numbers don't really make anything until you put context around with them. Same with all data types. So you have the option of showing and describing, depending on the field that you're going to use, the description as well. Now, to find the description of this, we've already added the field. So what we have to do is we have to go to the View option. I beg your pardon, it's Settings, followed by Characteristics. And in the characteristics, we can see the document type there. Here, we have a display option. So at the moment, it's currently showing the ID, but if we wanted to show the description instead of the ID, we choose description. Once we clicked on OK, we can see now it's changed to sales order. Okay, if we wanted a combination of them both, we'd go to Settings, Characteristics, followed by Description and ID, or ID and Description. Now we can see it's listing the order type number and the order type description. Okay, I'm just going to remove this now from currently not shown. Adding a characteristic, we use the Add Fields option. Also, in the reports as well, you've got key figures. There's such things as quantity and value. For example, at the moment, the key figure that's been used in the columns is the net value. However, there may be other key figures which are hidden to the end user that may be relevant for reporting requirements. To see what is available, you can go to, again, Settings, Key Figures. This time it shows you all what's available for reporting. So at the moment, the selected value is net value. Okay, so what I'm going to add is I'm going to add the fulfilled quantity to the report. So I've selected now net value and fulfilled quantity, and I click on OK. Okay, now we can see that there is fulfilled quantity added. So here we've added the fulfilled quantity. That's the fulfilled amount that's currently being delivered in the context of the sales orders. However, we might want to add another field to show what the outstanding or the requested quantity required. So again, we'll go to Settings, Key Figures, search for the correct key figure that we're looking for. In this context, we'll look at requested quantity. Add the requested quantity, click on OK. That's added an extra measurement there. We have some asterisks here which mean that it can't render itself because there is maybe more than one record associated with this report. But if we think about it, in this context, it is the sales order item that we need to add to this report. So in the currently not shown, you can scroll down, go to sales order item, add to rows. Now we can see that we've got the fulfilled quantity and requested quantity added. Okay, the next thing I'd like to show you is how to create a simple calculation. So what I want to do is I want to calculate the percentage between the fulfilled quantity and the requested quantity. So we can see the percentage outstanding. Okay, so how we do this is we go to Add Fields. We then go from the Characteristics tab to the Key Figures tab. On here, we can look at key figures and own key figures. What we're going to do is we'll create a new one. So we'll click on Create. That opens up another session. And what we're going to say is we're going to give this key figure a name. So we'll just say percentage complete. It's a calculated key figure because we're going to calculate two fields. Click on Next. And here we have all the dimensions that we can use. So to find out the percentage, we click, drag and drop over to the main pane here. So we see the fulfilled quantity divided by the requested quantity, and then we will times that by 100. Click on Next, and then we can click on Finish. Once we've created that key figure, we'll be able to see it's complete there, percentage complete, and then we can click on Display and Report, click on OK. Then the system compiles it together and adds it to the report. Next, we need to add that calculated field to the report itself. And to do this, we go back to Settings, Add Fields, Key Figures. There's the key figure that we've just created. Move that across to percentage complete and click on OK. Once we've added the key figure, you can then see the calculations now being completed. One thing to bear in mind is being able to filter on this. So maybe you don't want to see all the relevant data that's being calculated. As you can see here, there are lots of zeros. Maybe we should filter this to only bring back percentage complete, which is less than 100. To do this, we do the following. In summary, what at first appears to be a complicated screen is actually simplified. You've got your columns and rows, the data that you want to appear in the report, and all those fields which do not appear in the report are available here in this left-hand column. Those can all be reduced, so you can simplify that screen to show what's in the columns, rows, and not currently shown but available. In this screen area here, we have the selection, so you can select different items to how you want to slice and dice the report, and you can reduce that by clicking that arrow here. And finally, you've got the actual view, the report itself. Okay. Finally, you can have what the startups options are, so you can show the selection area and start the report straight away, or you can hide the selection and start the report, or show the selection but do not start. So clearly, if you have large amounts of data, you might not want to always run them immediately. You want to maybe look at the data that you're going to retrieve first, maybe make some selections and filters, and then you can slice and dice the report as you wish. The final thing I'd like to show you is what we call Quick Navigate, and it's a quick way of slicing and dicing data for ad hoc reporting. To do this, we go Navigate to and Analyze Data, Quick Filter. The Quick Filter screen shows you all the characteristics that are relevant for this report, and those which are selected currently in the report are checked here. If you want to add more, you can click on the characteristics where possible. Okay, if I wanted to look at particular accounts, rather than just looking at the whole view screen report here, I can click on Account. This now lists all the accounts in this report. So if I wanted to look at Heat Transfer Specialist, for example, there we go, it's filtered based on that, and also maybe Blue Cloud Limited, there's another report there, so we can see the different sales order items that are relevant for those. To get rid of the account, I can just click on the X and it closes that window, and maybe we can do something different. So let's look by city. So these are all the cities that are relevant in this report, and I want to look at the sales order volume for Leeds. By clicking on Leeds, it's listed all the accounts that are relevant for the Leeds area and the currently amount lasting over here. So we can do this many times, and different slicing and dicing the report for anything that's available in this area, depending on the data that we wanted. So if we did SL, and just by typing ahead, it's listed 2 postcodes there, or if we wanted to do L, there you go, LS and L2, we can do there, so that there is variance in this report as well. Again, with this report, we can slice and dice how we need to do it to fulfill it. The final thing on sales order one is actually printing this. We can actually print it, we can print the table or the chart, but also we can send it. We can send this report as an attachment or a link by an email. So if a manager is out of the office, no internet connection, but needs a report first thing in the morning, he can ask somebody to send a particular report immediately, and they can go to send email attachment as a web browser or as a PDF attachment, and it will send it to them straight away. To create a new report from scratch, we can either click on New, Report, or Reporter's Copy. I always like to promote Reporter's Copy because it uses an existing report that you're familiar with, and then you can make changes to that report as and when you need. However, there may be requirements that the report that you're after doesn't exist or is not even close to the reports that are currently in the system, so creating a new one is required. So it's wizard driven. We go to New, Report, And then we give the report a name. We now need to choose the data source. ByDesign comes with pre-configured data sources for reporting. Most of the data is captured in those data sources, and on rare occasions do you need development to add more fields, but most of them are there. So we're going to try and find a sales relevant data source here, and we're going to look at sales order items. Let's have a look. So once it's added your data source, you can enable this for a mobile device. So if you want to use it on an iPhone, for example, you could click that and it would enable it for a mobile device. No other development is needed. And if you just wanted to do some reconciliation on master data, you just click that icon there, and none of the key figures would be relevant for this report. So we've got these stages to go through: define a report, select key figures, select characteristics and properties, etc. But we'll just follow the wizard. So once we've give it a name and the data source that we want to query, we click on Next. We then select what key figures we want to report on. So I want to report on them all apart from the counter, so we unselect that, click on Next, and then select the characteristics. Now the characteristics there can be very many for you to choose. There's 44 here. That's actually not very many in comparison to some of the data sources. It's a word of caution: the more characteristics you add, the more demand it puts on the system when it does to do queries. So ideally, identify up front what characteristics are required. I'm going to select them all to show you this example. Okay, so I've selected the characteristics. Now I can just click on Finish. That's just confirming that everything's been done and that the report's been saved. And I just need to create a view now. So by clicking on Create View for this report in web browser, I can go to the screen from the previous demonstration to actually create the report. Here we go. So the key figures have been added to the columns, but there's been nothing added to the rows. So to start adding the rows, we can start looking at the characteristics that are available. So I'm going to click on this drop-down box here and add the account, move to rows, and you can see now that it's started to create a picture of what's been happening. Let's go down to sales order item, move those to rows, and now we're getting a richer picture of what's actually happening in this report. For ABC Limited, this is the account number, this is the sales order item, and this is the value. So we want some more details. We could maybe add the product. Now we can see something. So for this combi boiler, by the looks of it, there's £12,000. The net amount is 10. Net freight and the confirmed quantity. So as you can see, just by a few simple steps, we've created our own report based on the operational data that's been submitted by end users. Again, we can slice and dice this how we want and make different views and selections. But as you can see, it's very simple to create a very basic report.